You need a parachute! That's a backpack!
Don't worry. Kazooie? Oh.
Banjo and Kazooie have disconnected, now working individually and as a team to tackle their biggest adventure yet, Banjo-Tooie. Rated E for everyone. Just remember, bears still need a bird to fly.
One of my favorite video game commercials of all time. Anyway, good evening guys, hope you all had a good work week. Welcome to the Game Reserve. My name is Jagger Newman and I'm a warden in these parts. And picking up where we left off last year, we are covering Banjo-Tooie. This game was released in the year 2000 and is the sequel to the much beloved N64 game, Banjo-Kazooie. So when Banjo-Kazooie first came out, it was an instant hit for the N64. Very quickly became one of the console's signature games. And because of the enormous success of the game, Rare immediately made plans to do a sequel. However, with the way Rare was structured at the time, which prioritized a high quality as well as a high quantity of releases, after Banjo-Kazooie was finished, a lot of the team ended up moving to other projects in order to finish them up and get them out the door. So it was a couple of years before Banjo-Tooie came out, and they may have waited just a little too long for the game to be released. When Banjo-Tooie came out, while it was a big critical and commercial success, it wasn't as big a hit as the original Banjo-Kazooie, and many attribute that to the fact that it came out at the very end of the N64's life cycle. With the GameCube just a year away, a lot of people were saving their money in preparation for the new console. And even today, Banjo-Tooie doesn't hold the same acclaim that the original Banjo-Kazooie does. And I never really understood that. While I definitely think that there is an argument to be made for the original Banjo-Kazooie being the superior game, I still think that Banjo-Tooie is a classic in its own right, and to me, it's one of the best sequels of all time. Mostly in regards to how it chooses to be a sequel, but we'll get into that later. Okay, so how am I playing this game tonight? Well, like with Banjo-Kazooie, I'm going to be playing the Xbox 360 version of the game, which is the way to go with Banjo-Tooie as well as Banjo-Kazooie, mostly because of the presentation. They up the screen resolution, they smooth out the frame rate to 60 FPS, and they even reintroduced stuff that was cut from the N64 version, such as the stop and swap content, which is pretty cool. So if you're going to play Banjo-Kazooie or Banjo-Tooie, this is the way I recommend doing it. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Make sure my sound is good. The way I recommend doing it. Yep, still good. I like the slow build up to the title screen, that's nice. Got kind of a Western twang to it. Title screen's just as good as the original Banjo-Kazooie. I'm not a huge fan of the title Banjo-Tooie. If anything, it would have made the third title in the series, Banjo-3E, really awkward to say, but Banjo-Tooie isn't bad. It does roll off the tongue just fine. I also do like this menu, too. Like, it's not as cool as the menu from the first game, but it still works. And I also like the TV and the N64 here as well. That's a nice touch, though. You know, if Microsoft was able to, they would replace that with an Xbox. They even have Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts there on the edge, which is kind of interesting. You notice that says multiplayer right there, and that's one of the more underrated features of Banjo-Tooie. It actually has a really good multiplayer suite where you can play all the mini games you come across in the game with friends, which is awesome. It's definitely one of the most underrated multiplayer games on the N64, so be sure to check that out if you guys decide to play this game. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Ooh, ominous. Kinda looks like the same intro from the beginning, doesn't it? 2 years after the original, huh? The flashing lightning is really cool against Grunty's tower. And you still got that charming game speak from the original version. Like, there's no voice acting in the game, but that still gives you a good enough indication as to what the characters would sound like, so you hear the voice acting in your head as you're reading, which is a neat idea. And I'm not going to read all this because I don't have the voice acting chops for that. And I don't know why, but I always found it really amusing that in the intro, Banjo-Kazooie, Mumbo, and Bottles are passing the time playing poker. Like, when I was a kid, I always thought that poker card games like this were something that strictly adults did. So it kind of made me look at these characters in a kid's game as, you know, grown-ups, which is funny. Oh, that's cool. You can actually see behind Bottle's glasses. Was that the case in Banjo-Kazooie? That's cool. And I just love how calmly they're playing poker, even though one of their mortal enemies is trying to free their arch nemesis from under a rock just a stone's throw away. Oh, this can't be good. Yeah, people who have played this on the N64 are probably noticing a difference in the timing of the music, and that is unfortunately a problem with the Xbox 360 version of this game. You see, the music in the original version was actually timed to the motion of the game itself, which didn't run at 60 FPS. So when they sped the game up to 60 FPS, it kind of threw everything out of whack. So nothing that can really be done about that, and Rare unfortunately has better things to do, but it is something that always annoys me when I start this game up. I remember playing it for the first time and thinking that there was something wrong with it. Belly flop! Makes me think of me and my brothers. Also, in the event of an earthquake, you're supposed to get under a table, so Mumbo's the only one who did what he was supposed to. Chicken. Did his chair just disappear too? Yeah, Banjo and Kazooie are still a great duo. Banjo being kind but lazy, whereas Kazooie is adventurous but rude. Just one of the all-time great video game duos. It is so bizarre playing this game on the 360 because of how crisp the picture is. I remember playing this game on the N64. This entire scene was so dark, you could barely see Mumbo there in the background. If he wasn't pink, he probably would have blended in perfectly. Yeah, you can see the music out of sync so bad here. There's a music chord that's supposed to go with that to really hiding the gravity of this situation. And Grunty's first appearance is just fantastic. The way when her hand grasps down the ground, there's a shake. And then you realize this entire time she was alive under there. And now she's nothing but a sack of bones and she's still... Like, how do you kill this thing? Honestly, I prefer this look for Grunty versus the original. The bone body is just far more threatening. Hey, here's an idea for a death battle. How about Gruntilda versus King K. Rool? Wouldn't that be a fun matchup? God, I wish the music was lined up with this. Surely that can't be that hard to fix. Really showing off how powerful Gruntilda is, too. She's not messing around this time. You tell him, Bottles. See, the music that's playing right now, that should have been playing as Mumbo was running away. Man, it just ruins the tone of the moment here. Bottles, don't be an idiot! Run! Run, you nerdy bastard, run! Yeah, and she still speaks in rhymes. Talk about a scorched earth approach. Yeah, I think Lungo knows she's not coming back. I hope you got insurance, Banjo. Who am I kidding? Insurance isn't gonna pay for this. What plan covers demented witches? God, that music. Oh my god, they've killed Bottles! You bastards! Actually, I'm pretty sure I'd have to call Grunty the other word, but I don't think I should say that on camera. I think I'm pushing it with bastard. I demand punishment! Bottles must be avenged! Okay, would you like a moment to rephrase that, Kazooie? Peck some witch butt. You realize that implies sticking your face down there, right? Ugh. So yeah, great narrative hook. Picks up right where the first game left off. Expands the game, raises the stakes. Excellent. Can I even hear you right now, Bottles? Okay, so the first thing we always talk about are the controls. And this is where Banjo-Kazooie really comes into its own as a sequel. Because, unlike a lot of sequels, you're actually not starting from scratch. Yeah, thanks for interrupting me, guy. Anyway, what was I saying? So, you actually have all the moves you had in the original Banjo-Kazooie. So, you got your melee attack, the roll move, the high jump and the drop kick, Talon Trot. Let's see here. How do I do it? Well, you would do invincibility with... You can do invincibility, you can fly, you can shoot eggs. So, I really like that feature because you even have the two power-ups you got too, the boots and the running shoes. Think about how many action-adventure games you've played where in the sequel you have to essentially start from scratch and recollect everything. I can name 5 off the top of my head. The Legend of Zelda, Metroid, Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, Metal Gear. But here, you just start with everything you had in the original. That's really cool, and I'm surprised that's not standard. And believe it or not, it actually goes further with that too. It's awesome. But more on that later. Yeah, I never realized how big Klungo is compared to Banjo. Yeah, the old hag kidnapped her sister. Wait a minute, where is Tootie? She's not in this game. Okay, it's not nice to make fun of people's lips, but I adjusted to that. Yeah, so one thing this game has that the original didn't is boss fights. Whereas the original had occasionally bigger enemies that you had random encounters with. They weren't really given a lot of bravado, but here, the boss fights are played up as legitimate threats to Banjo and Kazooie, and they can get absolutely enormous as the game goes on. I mean, just right here, Klungo is massive compared to Banjo and Kazooie, so just the fact that they actually get bigger than him should speak volumes of how cool these encounters are. Klungo's not too hard to deal with, though. This guy actually becomes a recurring boss fight throughout the game. You face him 3 other times. And he actually goes through something of a character arc, too. You actually do feel really bad for Klungo, which I actually really like. They gave some characterization to a character who played a very bit part in the first game. I like it. Indeed, big guy, indeed. Poor bastard. You guys might be wondering who that guy is talking to me, but we'll encounter him later. Hope I'm going the right way here. I am. And again, playing this on the Xbox is just so jarring for me because I'm so used to the game chugging at this point in the game. Banjo-Tooie really was pushing the N64 to its limits graphically, so the original game ran like garbage. So it really is nice that we can play this now with 60 FPS. And really, that issue with the sound I was talking about during the intro, that only applies to the intro. I can't think of anywhere else where it causes an issue. Alright, let's go see what's in here. Kinda looks like King Dedede's castle, doesn't it? Anyone else picture this guy's voice in their head as like a Surfer Dubra or something? Agreed. Jiggy Wiggy. I mean, everything is made up when you think about it, Kazooie. Dingling. Man, we're almost halfway through the stream here. We're not even done with the intro yet. Jimmy Wiggy. Of course, they got some kind of diabolical ray beam, as was the style of the time. Seriously, Death Battle needs to have a Grunty fight King K. Rool. He did the same thing in Donkey Kong 64. Called her out on the rhyming. I love this game. The writing in this game is just hilarious. I didn't think it could be any funnier than the original Banjo-Kazooie. She just got away with calling her fat. Can you really call her fat now that she's nothing but skin and bones? Actually, not even skin, she's just bones now! Blow and suck. Okay, Rare had to have done that intentionally. There's no one who would look at that and not immediately go to dirty thoughts. Oh my god. How's that line from Spaceballs go? Suck, suck, suck. You know, they didn't really talk about in the first game, or really in this first game, but the island Banjo and company live on is called the Isle o' Hags. Are he and everyone else on the island living under the oppressive rule of Grunty and her sisters? That'd be something interesting to cover if they ever did another Banjo game. And yes, I know there are more Banjo games, but you guys know what I mean. Just a direct follow-up to Tooie. Convenience! You're still really stupid, Grunty. Alright, let's actually get on with the adventure now. It's kind of somber coming in here after what happened to Bottles, isn't it? I mean, Bottles does come back at the end of the game, but they still freaking killed the guy. Like, talk about opening with, like, a sequel should always go a little darker, I would say, but holy crap, dude. Is it just me, or does it look like he's wearing an Ash Ketchum hat? Haha. Dangling. Alright, let's get out of here before I have to explain what happened to Bottles. Remember how cute the Jiggy sounded in the original Banjo-Kazooie? And I do like how the game moves the action out of Grunty's castle and into the greater Isle o' Hags. When you get down to it, the events of the original Banjo-Kazooie were kind of an isolated incident, so now the events of what goes on concern the entire island, so it gives the game a much bigger scope than the original game had, which is saying something because the scope of the original game was huge to begin with. Alright. Aw, dude, look at the reflection on that floor. That's amazing for the N64. God, that's so cool. And that's not just for the N64 version either. That's in the 360 version either. That's in the N64 version. So just like in the original game, you do gotta complete puzzles in order to open up new levels, but here you actually have to physically put the puzzle together, whereas the puzzles kind of solve themselves in the original game. And it's a really cool effect how the image itself is moving, and it's still moving on the individual puzzle pieces too. That's a really cool touch. I dare say that Banjo-Tooie may very well be the most graphically intensive game ever released for the N64. This could probably pass for an early GameCube game now that I think about it. Hell, the size and scope of it is still impressive by today's standard. Even by the standards of an Xbox 360 game, like, it still holds up in that regard. Looks like we had a message from, I want to say Francisco Garcia. Looks like he retracted the message, or maybe YouTube took it out. Whatever the case. Welcome to the stream, guy. Alright, so we need 4 jiggies to carry on. Head into our first level. 30 minutes left on the stream. Okay, so this is a feature I really like. Obviously the worlds in Banjo-Kazooie get a lot bigger than they were in the original game. So they added the warp pad so that you can more easily traverse the levels, you know, get to certain points a lot faster. That was a smart touch. They probably got that from Donkey Kong 64. The notes are also less tedious too. In the original game, you had to collect 100 of them in order to, in each level, and you need the note stats as different parts of Grunty's castle. But now the notes basically determine whether or not you get new moves or not. So, yeah, that's a smart change. It makes the levels less tedious to explore. I'm not even gonna try to say that name. I like that they referenced Banjo-Tooie. A lot of fourth wall breaks in this game. Okay, so we're not going in there. And the design of this level is actually really good too. This path up the mountain is a good centralized point to follow as you're exploring. And then you have different paths on either side of it, so it's really easy to explore despite how big it is. Unfortunately, the level design in Banjo-Kazooie does start to get a little too complex for its own good as the game goes on, and that does become a problem, I must admit. And now we have the introduction of one of my favorite characters in Banjo-Kazooie, Jammerjaws. If they had proper voice acting in this game and the man was still alive, is there any chance this guy wouldn't be voiced by Armie Hammer? He doesn't seem broken up over the fact that his brother is dead at all. And this is where Banjo-Tooie really comes into its own as a sequel, because not only do you get to keep everything from the original Banjo-Kazooie in regards to your moveset, you get a ton of new moves. Cool, that is awesome, man. You probably aren't going to get to see a whole lot of them, but my god, why is that not standard for sequels? Why do so many sequels choose to hit the reset button? This is how you should do it, for crying out loud. Like, it's so cool. I love it. You know what would be really funny is if you actually hand Jammerjaws' lines off to a real drill instructor and have them make the soldiers say it as they're doing their drills. Alright, so we got our first new ability, which is the ability to freely aim our eggs when we go to fire them. And we can use that ability up here. In the original Banjo-Kazooie, you could really only fire them straight forward or out the back end. But now, you can aim with a crosshair. And you actually get a bunch of different variations on this as the game goes on too, such as being able to fire it while you're swimming and flying, which is really cool. Let's have a look inside. Good. And is there any chance this guy wouldn't be voiced by Seth Rogen? I love you, Kazooie. And that piece of paper there is one of Cheeto's pages. He's still up in Grunty's castle, so if you collect 5 of them, you can go see him and he'll give you a cheat code. But I don't have enough right now, so... And the honeycombs, of course, still increase your health when you collect enough of them. Now here's Mumbo's skull over here. Why don't we go pay him a visit? Yeah, so as he's saying, I can warp back to the entrance now. And there are other places that you can warp to as you explore the level. So yeah, that's a really good feature. It really cuts down on backtracking. Wake up, Skullboy. It's interesting that they left Mumbo's teeth out on his character model, but they still have that in his profile down there. I'm kind of glad they left the teeth out on his character model, though, because the teeth are kind of creepy, don't you think? Alright, so I'm going to give him the Globo and he'll help me out. Oh, we actually get to play as Mumbo here. That's really cool. Unfortunately, Mumbo's moveset is pretty basic, all things considered. He can just jump, and he's got a magic attack, which is basically a taser on a stick. And he really only has one purpose in the levels, and that is to perform certain feats of magic to help Banjo and Kazooie out. It's kind of tedious that you have to bring him out into the world to do this stuff. I would have preferred it if he would just activate it from his skull. But I will admit, it is kind of cool that you do get to play as Mumbo, even if there really isn't much point to doing so. But let's go get a demonstration of Mumbo's magic here. You walk over here, you stand on this. And I like how the pad says, Ookam Ookam. Yeah, so now you can control this giant gold thing for a bit, which is really neat. Only time in the game something like this happens, though. For the rest of the game, Mumbo's feats of magic are pretty basic. I'll walk over here, give this door a good kick. Knock, knock. Head inside, see what we can find. And I love how all the enemies run in terror when they see you. But yeah, that's an easy jiggy right there. Now I'll keep walking this way. I think I need to open this door over here. I don't know why, but this is making me think of the Iron Giant. Now I want to watch that movie. Let's see if I can make it to the other door. Gotta kick in before this craps out on me. Probably not gonna make it. Not that it really matters if it times out. I mean, you just return to control as Mumbo and then you can just reactivate the statue again. It's kind of silly that there's even a time limit on it. I mean, once you've done everything you can do, you're probably never going to use that statue again. It's not like it's a broken gameplay mechanic or anything. Alright, so I also need to head up here. How do I go back? I guess I just returned to the statue. Alright, that's about all Mumbo can do here, so let's head back and regain control of Banjo-Kazooie. Got about 15 minutes left on the stream. I really wish I had more time to play, but really, you guys really should just play this game. I feel like Banjo-Tooie is really underrated in comparison to the original Banjo-Kazooie. Again, there is an argument to be made that Banjo-Kazooie is better due to its more concise design. Banjo-Tooie can feel a little bloated at times, but I feel like that's balanced out by just how cool it is that the game just builds upon the foundation of the first game with all the different moves that you can get, rather than just re-hitting the restart button like most games do. Like, I know I keep bringing that up, but it's just such a cool feature. It's what makes Banjo-Tooie special. Stupid cat. I think there's another Jammerjaws around here somewhere. I do want this, though. Is it over there? Yeah, it's over here. What you got for me, Jammer Jaws? Breagle Blaster. I was actually hoping I'd unlock this one. Okay, so I just unlocked Breagle Blaster. And what that does is, when you enter a certain area, Banjo will pull Kazooie out of his backpack and wield him like an assault rifle, which happens in here. And when you do that, the game suddenly becomes a first-person shooter. That is so cool, dude. Though I think it would be really cool if you had the option to switch to this at any time. Another game I can think of that does something similar is Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. Like, you could freely switch between a first-person and third-person camera whenever you wanted. Kind of wish you could do that in Banjo-Kazooie, but it's still pretty cool that this is even here. Rare was definitely showing off with this game, that's for sure. And for this remaster, they, of course, adopted the standard dual analog controls as well. Yes, thank you, Jammer Jaws. Please don't shoot. It is really fun to shoot stuff, though, especially when you get all the different egg types that you can get. You get fire and ice, grenade. Okay, so I need to get an angle on this guy. A little awkward to aim, though, because the crosshair resets, which is aggravating. That was the case in Star Fox Adventures as well. I always wondered why Rare felt the need to do that. I hear ya, but I don't see ya. Alright, so we got one chamber I need to go into. There's a Jiggy in there. And then another one of these chambers leads you to a boss fight, so I want to be sure I keep collecting them. That's a little freaky. I just picked up gold eggs, which basically a rapid fire power-up. Is this one of them? Yep. 12 minutes left on this stream. We probably got time for this boss fight, and then I'll have to call it for the night. I'm really curious what this Francisco Garcia guy said. Hope he didn't say anything profane in there. I want to keep things clean here, folks. Just want this to be a discussion about video games. It always seems like I pick up viewers right towards the end of the stream. I don't understand why that happens. I mean, I understand why someone will watch me. I'm sure at times my streams can get kind of boring. Let's see. There's more. Alright, here we go. Now I just gotta find my way back to the chamber. That is one thing I don't like about these FPS sections. Most of the levels are labyrinthian, so it's real easy to get lost. The family heirloom, of course, being a Jiggy. Okay, which way to this boss fight? I think it's this way. Yeah, this is it. Teach you to come at me, stupid panther thingamajig. Oh man, no. Not even scratching the surface, Banjo. Well, yeah. Are you threatening me? You're threatening me! I will make you pay for threatening me! Gongala! Gongala! You want a piece of me? Yeah! Yeah! Ah, crap, out of ammo. I don't deserve to be out of ammo. What now, big guy, huh? Wait, self-destruct? Ah! Dumbass. Alright, how much time we got? I think I got time to get one more Jiggy, and I think I know just the one. As soon as I find my way out of here. I've gone back and rewatched videos where I play FPS games, and I noticed that I tend to laugh maniacally as I play games like that, mostly when I'm gunning down bad guys. Steffi says it's because I'm trigger happy. I don't know what that means, but she's probably right. Nope. This the way? Get him, ball! Oh, look, it's a little Jinjo. To infinity and beyond! Yeah, see, there's the entrance to Grunty's lair right there, though you can't access any of the areas you could in the original game. Would have been kind of cool if you could, though. So something else that's interesting about Banjo-Tooie is that a lot of the levels are interconnected. So this way right here actually takes you to a level much later in the game, prehistoric land, I think it is. And later on, you can use that as a little shortcut. Though I think by that point, if you've gotten that far, you've basically done everything that you need to in the first level. So there isn't really a point. Okay, so I need to get across this. If I just step on there, I'm going to wake this guy up. So I need to tiptoe very carefully. And unfortunately, it's very finicky with the 360 control. Just gotta... Ah! I think I'm gonna skip that one for now. We just lost a bunch of viewers because of that. They probably thought, nope, going the wrong way. I might as well just stop there, actually. Alright, so Banjo-Tooie. I absolutely love this game. Again, it's just such a rarity for a sequel to do what Banjo-Tooie does. Just pick up where the original game left off, don't hit the reset button, and then just keep building on top of it. And in the end, it just makes for a much bigger game than the original Banjo-Kazooie. And the way the game just continues to evolve as it goes on, it's just a sight to behold. I really wish that there was a Banjo 3E because I would have been curious to see where the series goes on from Banjo-Tooie, to see if they could have found a way to keep building on the game. But that's something that's probably never going to happen because if they were to do a proper follow-up to Banjo-Tooie, it would be really difficult to do so because part of the reason Banjo-Tooie was able to get away with this was because it came out a couple years after Banjo-Kazooie. So a lot of people hadn't forgotten Banjo-Kazooie, so they could just slide right into this one. But because it's been so long since Banjo-Tooie, or a Banjo-Kazooie game in general, you would have to take some time to relearn the controls of the original game, and then even more for Banjo-Tooie. So you are left with kind of a conundrum there. But yeah, Banjo-Tooie, excellent game. One of my all-time favorite video game sequels, and if you're interested in game design at all, I feel like this one is worthy of study. So that's going to do it for tonight, guys. If you enjoyed tonight's content, please be sure to like and subscribe. I do these videos every Saturday at 8 o'clock, and what I do is I take a game, I play for a couple of hours, and I just talk about the game design. I do not play games from start to finish because I feel like you're not getting the full experience if you're not playing the game yourself. So I don't want to rob people of that. I want to encourage people to play the video games that I play for the live stream. Though no disrespect to anyone who chooses to consume video games by watching other people play it on YouTube. If there's a game you would like me to play in this format, please leave it in the comments and I'll be sure to take a look at it. But that's going to do it for tonight, guys. You all have a good work week and take care.